You know, every once in a while, you come across a book that does more than just tell a story. It actually tries to rewire how you see the entire world. That's really the idea behind the book Nexus. It argues that history isn't just a series of events, but it's driven by the invisible threads that connect absolutely everything.
So let's just dive right into the core question the book poses. I want you to forget what you learned in history class for just a moment and really think about this. What is the fundamental force that actually governs all of human civilization? The answer, it turns out, isn't nearly as obvious as you might think. It's not about kings, or the economy, or even technology by itself. The book makes the case that it's something way more subtle, something pervasive and, well, something totally invisible.
All right, so if it's not the usual suspects, then what is the real engine of civilization? The book argues it's information, but not just data. It's the power of a shared belief.
So what's a shared belief? Well, it's pretty simple. It's just a collective agreement we all make about something that isn't physically real. You can think of it like a story we all agree to live by, and it's that agreement that gives it real power. It's what allows millions, even billions of people to cooperate, all because we're buying into the same fiction. And this leads to a pretty radical idea. Our reality is, for the most part, a shared story. The most powerful structures in our world aren't actually built on objective truth, but on these collective agreements. Seriously, think about it. What is a nation? You can't touch it. It's just lines on a map we all agree on. What is money? It's just paper, or let's be honest, just a number on a screen. Laws, religions, all these incredibly powerful forces that dictate our lives, they only exist because we have this collective agreement, this shared story that says they do. In a way, they're kind of like collective hallucinations. And this brings up a really critical distinction. Truth is objective. It's stable. You can verify it. But a shared belief? That's negotiated. It doesn't actually have to be true, it just needs to be consistent enough for everyone to keep believing in it. And that's what makes it so powerful, but also potentially really fragile. Now, if you look at the world this way, you can reframe the whole of human history. Instead of seeing it as a timeline of wars and rulers, you can see it as a sequence of information upgrades, these fundamental shifts in how we all communicate.
And you can see this evolution so clearly. Ancient empires ran on scribes and messengers, a really slow, centralized network. Then bang, the printing press comes along and it's a massive upgrade, decentralizing information. Then comes the internet, making communication global and instant. And now we're stepping into the AI era, where our tools don't just spread information, they actually create it. Each one of these upgrades completely reorganize society.
Okay, and this leads us to a really important modern shift. For most of history, humans were the ones controlling these information networks, but now that control is starting to slip away, and power itself is becoming invisible. Just look at the difference. In the past, power was all about censorship, hiding information. It was visible, it was direct, and it definitely felt like control. But today's power, it's all about amplification. It's not about hiding things, it's about controlling what you see, what bubbles to the surface on your feed. It's invisible, it's curated, and here's the most dangerous part. It feels like freedom.
And that's exactly why it's such a dangerous form of control, because it doesn't feel like control at all. When algorithms are shaping your reality by amplifying certain ideas, you don't feel manipulated, you just think you're seeing what's popular or what's relevant. It's a complete illusion of choice. This really means that having access to infinite information is not the same thing as having agency. If an algorithm is deciding what you see, then your worldview is being subtly curated for you, whether you realize it or not. So that leads us to the final and maybe most profound question. What happens when our tools, specifically AI, stop being passive and become active participants in the network? This is what the book calls the Great Inversion, and it's a huge deal. Historically, it was simple. Humans created stories, and we used tools to share them. But now we're at this incredible point where the tools themselves are starting to generate and shape the narratives, and we, the humans, might just end up following along. It's a subtle but massive shift in who or what is in the driver's seat. Which brings us to the most unsettling question of all, not in some dramatic sci-fi way, but in this gradual, almost unnoticed transfer of influence. Can we actually remain in control of these incredibly complex systems we've built? The book? Well, it doesn't really give an easy answer. So the core takeaway is really this. The world you think you understand is being shaped by forces you rarely notice. The reality you perceive, the news you read, the opinions you form, they're all influenced by these vast invisible networks. The real question is, now that you can see the threads,
Can you ever look at the world the same way again?